Hello everybody, my name is Jen Benton, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Mulan, the 1998 Disney classic. So, I'm going to be analyzing Mulan through a feminist perspective and kind of talking about how groundbreaking it is in bringing queer theory and gender identity into media, especially children's media. So, with that focus on queer theory, I just want to put it out there to all of you that queer theory is an approach to literary and cultural study that rejects traditional categories of gender and sexuality, more specifically what it means to be male and what it means to be female. So we're going to be referencing the Mulan movie a great deal in this, and I'll be playing different clips and videos of songs, referencing different scenes, so it really helps if you've actually seen the movie, and it'll be things that you recognize, and if not, we'll be giving you enough just so that you can get through it. So, I'll also be referencing some different theories and quotes from two authors. So the first one is Anne Fausto Sterling, who writes Dueling Dualisms. I'll be pulling some quotes and some theories, ideas from her and that. And the second is Leslie Feinberg, who writes We Are All a Work in Progress. Again, I'll be taking different quotes and theories from her as well. So I just want to put it out there that today we're going to be focusing more on gender rather than sex and sexuality. So I know that Anne Fausto Sterling quotes on page 4 of Dueling Dualisms, "Feminists did not question the realm of physical sex, it was the psychological and cultural meanings of these differences. Gender, that was the issue." And that is the issue we're going to be discussing today. And the reason why is because, obviously with the Disney movie, they're not so much focusing on sex more than gender, and I think that in Mulan, gender is really the big thing over sexuality, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just today's focus. So, going from there and tying into gender, we were going to be also kind of bringing it back to different tabs on the website. So if you visit the Mulan's Hero's Journey tab, you'll see her different hero's journey and as also the heroine's journey. And at the end I write a conclusion that kind of explains a little bit more of why she really falls into neither, and I'll be exploring that today in this podcast as well. So, in talking about gender dualism, just to let you guys know, gender dualism is what society focuses on with different genders, and those two genders being female and male. And it's kind of defying femininity and masculinity as polar opposites, one or the other, and you can't be anything other than that. So there's different male-accepted behaviors and different female-accepted behaviors and attitudes. And sometimes usually the male ones are not accepted as females, and the males are not accepted, or the females are not accepted as males. And that goes vice versa for everything. So it's kind of exploring the idea that there are only two genders, and what happens to people who identify as somewhere in the middle. And that's the argument that I'm going to be making today, is that there is a place for people who fall in between, or even none. So gender dualism, I'm going to be basically combating today, and talking about the people who identify as somewhere along those lines. So, Fausto Sterling, again on page 3, quotes that gender is seen as a psychological transformation of the self, the internal conviction that one is either male or female, which is gender identity, and the behavioral expressions of that conviction. So, with Mulan's gender identity, we see that she begins in a very, very strictly feminine role in her society and her culture. And this is traditional Chinese culture that we're looking at here. So in the beginning of her journey, we see that there's this really beautiful song, Bring Honor to Us All, and it's that scene where Mulan is getting prepared to meet with the matchmaker to find a husband. How feminine can you get? So in the song Bring Honor to Us All, I'm going to play just a little bit of it so you can take a listen.
Men want girls with good taste, obedient, who work fast-paced, with good breeding, tiny waist. You'll bring honor to us all. We all must serve our emperor, who guards us from the ones, from that barbaric hearts, or through my bearing sons.
Awesome. So, if you couldn't hear that too well, they basically explain what kind of girls men are looking for. Also, the different ways different sexes and different genders serve the emperor. So they explain that men serve by bearing arms, as in fighting, and girls by bearing sons. And that is seen as their main role, is basically getting married, bringing honor to their family by getting married and having kids to carry on that family line. That is the main role of women, and that's the expected role of Mulan. And we see a lot of social expression of gender in this. Fausto Sternling kind of brings this in Dueling Dualisms, and really talks about how society portrays the ideal way to express one's gender, which is based on sex, male or female, which we explained, and with that, the socially constructed idea of what is feminine and masculine. And also, the other author, Feinberg, she also believes that gender norms are pretty much brought to us from an early age. She quotes, "Rigid gender education begins early on in life, from pink and blue color coding on infant outfits to gender labeling toys and games." And this is so important because in this scene, you can hear in the background, there are little girls and little boys, and the girls are playing with dolls and the boys are playing with swords, and the boy steals the doll of the girl, and kind of that's the way it is. And it really brings into that, like, boys will be boys. So this has so many strong ties to different genders and kind of that early on identifying there. And we can see that she really doesn't fit into this box, this compartment. And Feinberg explains, and this is a quote from page 195 of Feinberg's, "Millions of females and millions of males in this country do not fit the cramped compartments of gender that we have been taught are natural and normal." And because Mulan doesn't fit into this compartment, she's extremely conflicted, and she doesn't really know what to do, where she is, who she is, and we see this reflected, excuse the pun, in the song Reflection. And I'm going to play a quick bit of this song.
Look at me, I will never pass for a perfect bride or a perfect daughter. Can it be? I'm not meant to play this part.
And then there's another section of that I'll be playing, but just to talk about this. So this song is so important and so vital in her role because even before the idea of going off to war and becoming a man, stepping into her father's shoes, she's already so conflicted and she doesn't know who she is. She quotes later on, "Why is my reflection someone I don't know? And when will my reflection show who I am inside?" And I feel like this is so vital to LGBTQ plus society and understanding that, because I've heard so many different times that different people who are either transgender or genderqueer say, "I am a man trapped in a woman's body," or vice versa. And it's just so important to understand that she's having this internal conflict even before she had the opportunity to go off to war. And I can't imagine what her life would have been like had she not gone off to that and just been fit inside the feminine box her entire life, and if she would have been successful in getting married and bringing that honor to her family. So to go from there, it's very important that this song is in here. And the fact that the scene kind of stops and it's her and not anybody else. It's her mind, it's her internal thoughts, her feelings. No one else is really involved in the song. No one else can really hear the music compared to other different group kind of songs that are in this movie. So I think that it's very vital to portraying to the audience, like, this is what I'm feeling and this is the conflict that's going on inside of me. And as a kid, I didn't really understand the importance of that, but looking at it more and more through that feminist lens and that genderqueer perspective, it's so much more clear that, yes, this is something that people face all the time. And after the scene, Mulan is given the opportunity to go to war, and you can see that reflected in the hero's and heroine's journey, which I'll be explaining a little bit more later on as well after I get through this. But Mulan is given the chance, not really the chance, but she takes the chance to become a male warrior and is trained, and has to come to terms with her manhood and the masculine expectations from everybody in this war camp who are all training together. And we see that reflected mostly through the songs Be a Man and A Girl Worth Fighting For, which I'm not going to play because the whole song is important, both of them. And again, it shows kind of different societal perspectives and who belongs to where. But after she's experienced this feminine side and this extremely masculine side, she's been on the two polar opposites and decides that she doesn't fit either, so where is she gonna go? And I think that this is something that many people face is, I'm trying to be one, I'm trying to be the other, it's not really working out, and I'm not really either or. And that ties in again with the hero's and heroine's journey, because Mulan doesn't fit strictly into the hero's masculine journey, and she doesn't fit strictly into the heroine's feminine journey. She's somewhere in between, and I go through and explain that at the end in that little conclusion on that tab as well, so you can read that there if you want to get a little more into it. But after, she's discovered to be a woman and kind of cast away, dishonored, kind of not accepted by anybody. And I think that this is a huge moment because for a lot of people that may be coming out to their families as non-binary, which is pretty much, I don't identify as one or the other. But for her to do this, it's all of China who is not accepting her. And it really plays on, bringing that cinematic moment to its fullest and kind of full importance of that. And after the scene where she's kind of sitting alone with her friends there, she's saying, maybe I didn't do it for my father. Maybe what I really wanted to prove was that I could do things right, so that when I looked in the mirror, I would see someone worthwhile. But I was wrong. I see nothing. So that's her kind of leaving the masculine. She's saying, okay, I'm not masculine, I'm not feminine, I wanted to prove that I could be something, but I feel like I'm nothing. And thankfully, in the end, she, gets that opportunity where the Huns come back to life and she's able to prove that she is worthwhile, and she quotes to her war friends there, she says, "You trusted Ping, why should Mulan be any different?" Because they don't believe her when she says the Huns are back. And she's able to kind of pull herself up by the bootstraps and come to terms with her place in society and her gender identity. And she really does an amazing job of mixing in those feminine and masculine qualities in that final fight scene with Shan Yu. And she is strong, she's also delicate, she's also agile but fierce, and she really ties in many different things that she's learned from being on both sides and is able to come to terms with her place. And in the end, of course, she's accepted, and it's a Disney movie, so there's a happy ending there for her. And I think that it's important that you understand there's not always happy endings for people that fall along these lines. And in conclusion, I just want to point out that we as a society have the ability to break that cycle of gender dualism and kind of masculine, feminine, that is it. There's a lot of ways to go about that, and it's really something you have to determine for yourself, but I just want to leave on the question of asking, why do we even need to be so focused on gender dualism, and why can't we just have a different mix and accept people for their mixes, and instead of having masculine females and feminine masculine figures, they can just be who they want to be, and we don't have to put those labels on that. So I'm going to leave off there. If you would like to read a little bit more about the hero's and heroine's journey, please visit my tab, and I go through that in depth, and I go through a little bit more about sexuality in that as well. There's also a lot on gender. I covered most of it, but in case I left anything out, it will be there. Any final wrapping up would be... Yes. Okay. Great. So that was Mulan, looked at through the lens of feminism and also through queer theory. So if you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to look up different websites. There's plenty out there. I was able to learn a lot from different sources I used. And again, just to cite them, I used Mulan, the Disney movie, 1998, that's on Netflix, and Fausto Sterling, Dueling Dualisms, and Leslie Feinberg's We Are All Works in Progress, and anything else, you can look those up and find them online. It's pretty easy to do. So I encourage you to go out and learn more, and as for that, I will leave you there with that thought in your mind. Go watch Mulan. Great. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.